And my first guest is Kieta, who is Vice President of American Memorabilia. And Kieta, welcome to Lunchtime with Ira.
Thank you.
So tell us about how you got involved in the memorabilia business, and was it at an early age?
Well, actually, the president, Victor Moreno, he actually came up with the idea of American memorabilia because he was an avid sportsman coming from Pittsburgh, so he's a Steeler fan. Don't hold that against him.
I won't.
So he really, just loves sports, and we were also in the entertainment industry in LA. So between our contacts, memorabilia just came as a natural venue to start into a business and a venture.
The reason I wanted to have you on, you're based here in Las Vegas, although obviously you have a website as well, and so you're selling, I guess, worldwide.
Yes, we're ME-Memorabilia.Expert, and we are a Las Vegas-based corporation here, and we're an auction. We're an auction site as well as a magazine and a mobile museum.
Now, when you say mobile museum, in other words, you take a lot of the items, and we'll talk about some of those items in a minute. You take these items and you bring them to different places.
Yes, that's correct. Like currently, we're over at the Las Vegas Hilton at Football Central. So the public can actually come in and see items that really would only be seen at the Hall of Fame, or really not seen. And here it's available to the public just to come down and view, take pictures of.
Yeah. On Sundays. So, for example, what are some of the items that you feature? I know that I'm wearing one, and our audience will wonder, what is he talking about? And I'm going to reveal it in a moment. But what are some of the items that you have?
In our upcoming auction, which we have a Super Bowl auction that ends in February, and some of those prime pieces, would be Elvis Presley's Taekwondo dobak.
And a dobak is the uniform
that they wear.
Wears.
Correct. That he wears, and this comes directly from King Rhee, which was his master. This is his. It was a backup because every time they did a tournament, they would always have a backup. So this comes directly from his master.
With a certification.
With a certification,
right?
That's correct. Everything has certification. So I mean, it's Elvis Presley's Taekwondo dobak is. I mean, you don't get a chance to see that or even know that it exists.
Now, I'm wearing on my hand here a ring, which is interesting. It is a nice ring. I'm hoping to keep it after our interview.
That's a very nice ring.
Can I keep
30,
it?
40,000, no problem.
Yeah,
that's
30, wow.
Yeah, this is because the reason being is that this is a player's, Larry Grantham's Super Bowl ring from 1969. So it's a Jets Super Bowl ring, and the key here is that that game was the game that Namath said that they were going to win. The AFL actually beat the NFL, and that's a pretty historic.
So how do you get hold of something like this ring that now is in my possession? And I believe, I'll have to check with my attorney, possession is 9/10 of the law. It's on my finger. Thank you so much.
I think we're in trouble. Basically, that comes from players. Players, managers, family members is a lot of where we obtain the merchandise. Like the Elvis Presley dobak came from a woman who actually befriended Elvis.
Huh. Now, but the ring, for example, why would a player or the player's family give up a ring which obviously has not only monetary value, but sentimental value?
Sometimes, sometimes they actually just, it's maybe time for them to part with it. A lot of times, families want to get the money and put it in a trust, put children through college, whatever it may be.
Now, your background is in modeling and acting, and now you get involved with Victor in this American Memorabilia, which is not easy to say 3 times real fast, so I won't. So when you decide to join Victor in this pursuit, how do you determine the value of things?
Well, the value really is determined by the fair market. Certainly, the rarity.
So you sell it at fairs, then?
Well, not at fairs, but it's the rarity. It's really there's certain items that don't have a value that you can really place on it because there's nothing that has ever been sold like it before. So it's really what the market or what the desirability at that time is going to bring.
So that's why you do it in an auction format?
Exactly. That's exactly right. So it opens up the floor to the world to say, okay, well, hey, this is available, so come and bid on the item.
So some of the other items that you have brought along for us to talk about, we have as you mentioned, Elvis's. What else do we have? Well,
we also do sports, obviously, besides celebrity, rock and roll, and political. Jordan, we have Michael Jordan's 1986-87 basketball game-worn jersey. And the key, and there's always significance in pieces. Like with Jordan, this is an early career piece. It comes from his early time that he was playing, and that's desirable. It's a little bit more desirable, and that's what you look for. We also have Manning, Peyton Manning from the Colts 2004, his game-worn jersey. I mean, these are jerseys that they actually wore when they were playing, you know, a particular game. Peyton's comes from the one that it was a career touchdown, his 49th touchdown. So those are significant pieces in their own life, you know, in the player's or athlete's life, you know, so that brings more money to an item.
Now, this is going to sound like a tacky question, but I have to ask it because clearly when Elvis performed, he'd throw the scarves out and the scarves were around his neck. So when you have the jerseys, for example, is it worth more not laundering them?
Absolutely, that's absolutely correct. I mean, really, you want grass stains, blood, you know, the whole 9 yards.
Body odor, all that stuff.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That holds a premium.
So when you get these items, whether it's a jersey or shorts or whatever, you don't launder them.
That's right. That's right. I mean, a lot of times you'll get them laundered, or but what you want to.
In other words, when they turn them over to you, they may have laundered.
They may have
right?
Right, but it's preferable that they're not. You know, certainly. Another thing that we have is boxing. We have Athlete of the Century, Muhammad Ali. We actually have his training shorts that he trained in for Rumble in the Jungle versus George Foreman.
You got quite a little collection going.
Yeah. So I mean, and amazing. And you would never be able to get to see or you come close to anything like that.
So do you think that people, athletes for example, who know at some point they're going to be famous, would they deliberately roll on the grass to stain their outfits so that brings in even more money as opposed to a pristine looking?
Well, you know what they really do? They're superstitious. So they like to hold on to these. I mean, they really, these pieces are important to them. Their helmets, their jerseys. It's, you know, you'll hear a lot of that, you know, in sports, and I think also in entertainment. People do the same thing over and over again because they feel that it's going to make them perform better, or it's a ritual, and they don't want to break, you know, they don't want to have a curse or break the spell, or, you know, break the, you know, the run that they're having.
What's the most expensive item that you and Victor have put up for auction?
We've had a few. The one that comes to mind is Mickey Mantle's 500 home run ball, and that's sold for around $300,000. And then just recently, we actually brought Mickey Mantle's 1956 game-worn glove, his actual glove that he wore in the World Series in Don Larson's perfect game. And we actually brought that over to the Hilton for public viewing again, and that came directly out of the Hall of Fame.
So when you have something like that, you obviously have a certificate of authenticity.
Absolutely.
And then you have perhaps other things that validate that that was where it was supposed to be at that point in time.
Well, provenance.
Right.
Provenance, and you look for, you investigate the piece as well. Like with Muhammad Ali's trunks, you know, he actually inscribed the trunks with a date. So you can go back and go online and find out if he was in fact training at that time during that day or that year, or what he was actually doing, and piece it together. So it's almost, you know, a little bit of an investigation as well. So you want to do your homework when you're actually purchasing or going to invest in pieces like this, because you're spending 10, 20, 30, or, you know, upwards to, you know, millions of dollars for some of these items.
Now, take us through the process. When you or Victor get contacted either by email, phone, or letter, or however it happens, somebody walks into the office and they say, I've got this item. And it could be from the world of sports, world of politics, world of entertainment. What are the steps you take to authenticate that it's correct, number one? And then obviously you have to pay that person some money, unless you're doing it on consignment, which maybe you do it on consignment.
Yeah, we do consignment. We purchase as well. Victor typically will handle that phone call, and it's all about questioning the person first, where he has gotten the piece, so where it comes from.
Right. So the first question would be, did you steal this?
That would be correct. Yeah. We don't want. You know, actually, that.
If the answer is no, then I guess you.
Yeah, but that actually happened to us. We actually there was a customer who stole the Jordan statue from the front of, I guess, the Bulls arena there, and he wanted to sell it, and we actually got involved with the FBI with that. But he sent it to us. He threw it in a box, and it unfortunately crushed. but we got it back for the Bulls organization. But so that does happen. So yes, that's very important to ask. That's one of the biggest things, to make sure that it's not forged or it's stolen or anything like that.
So when you end up purchasing it from the person trying to sell it, do you have them sign either a release form, or they warrant that in fact it's not stolen or forged or any of that stuff?
That's correct. With we have consignment contracts, and all that is stipulated in the contract.
What about now? Of course, a very famous athlete who is now in prison, O.J. Simpson. Do you have any of his stuff?
We've had O.J. Merchandise. O.J. never really sold as like a big signature anyway. However, his game-worn jerseys would go for a couple $1,000s, maybe a little bit more. So always the game-worn memorabilia always holds value versus his signature, which never really was a big deal.
Of all the athletes that you've dealt with, or at least the families of athletes or the items of athletes, who is the biggest money?
Well, Mickey,
item?
in terms of Mickey Mantle, I think is just beloved throughout, and I just think that he really epitomizes baseball, and he's just so well known, and he just sells
even
so
after all these decades. Isn't
after all these, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like Elvis. I mean, I think he's wealthier now dead than he was when he was alive, and I think that, those are, two definitely top sellers.
Well, Kieta, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ira. Thank you very much.
And thanks for bringing some of these items for us to touch and feel and steal. Like
No problem. No problem.
That was Kieta, ladies and gentlemen, from American Memorabilia. It's ME-Memorabilia.com. And next up, Mike Pacini, Boulder City Mayor Pro Tem. This is Lunchtime with Ira. We'll be right back. And we're going to talk.